Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to go through the Gamers 8 Battle Royale day number 3. Today is finally the day where we get some actual competition going. We're off of a no build, we're back towards the build, and we have the insane competition finally back at it. Now, day number 1 of the build tournament was absolutely insane and definitely exceeded expectations. So let's run you through what happened, who's doing super well, who's performing poorly, and what happened to a few of the players halfway through the tournament. So let's get into it. I'm going to start it off with the obvious number 1 on the leaderboard, Kami and Setty. Now, they were coming in as the majority favorites in the lobby, especially since they're one of the only actual real duos coming into the tournament. You have a bunch of field duos in this tournament like Thomas H and Tayson, right? They're not with their actual duos, Trippern and Hellfire, Alex and Scram, Aqua and Venom. They're not playing with their actual duos, so you don't really expect too much from these duos, even though they're very high caliber players. Kami Setty are one of the only duos that are actually together as a real duo, playing the FSCS Grand Finals in a few weeks and also landing at the original spot. So it was not too surprising that they came out swinging with an insanely dominant performance in day number 1. Take a look at the leaderboard. They came out strong in game number 1 with a 2-kill 12th position. In game number 2, they did it again. They got themselves a win in the second game, which is a little bit surprising considering all of the teams in height tend to have won. Game number 1 was won by Okus and Nut on the high ground, and nobody even looked at them once. So it was surprising to see a mid-gun to low-gun team take it, but it was actually Kami and Setty who were aggressive on the high ground for once to winning a game. So we're seeing a shift in the playstyle that they're going through, because we're usually expecting this duo to be a very passive mid-gun, low-gun duo. Doesn't get too many kills, but they came out swinging. They're taking high ground, they're getting big impact frags, and when they have the material count to do so, they instantly go high ground, they crank up, and they play that advantage in terms of materials. Game number 3, they had themselves a 4-kill 4th. Game number 4, they had a 4-kill 7th. Game number 5, they had a 4-kill 3rd. And then in the last game, they did it yet again with another high ground retake with almost max mats, a 4-kill 1st. And that ended them in the day with 204 points in 6 games, with a 35-point lead over the second place competitors of Hellfire and Trippern. Now, even more impressive with that is their average position in the games. You have to realize this is a stacked lobby. These are very, very competent players. An average position of 4.67 in this caliber of lobby is absolutely insane, and it holds a lot of weight going into the FSCS Grand Finals for this duo. And I'm very, very confident in saying they're going to be winning day number 2 as well, because I don't think there's anyone here that can stop them and their reign currently. Now, Kami said it was an impressive performance. We also saw Hellfire and Trippern with a very strong performance coming through. This duo isn't an actual duo. These guys are a field duo coming together. Trippern obviously playing with Thomas HD usually. Hellfire usually going to play with Flowis, and both of them are in the Grand Finals this season as well. So 2 very competent players, but not someone that we really see interacting together. They're both Danish, but insane performance from both of them. And Trippern, I want to give him a shout out as one of the MVPs of this tournament. My man is absolutely ridiculous. He comes to the late game swinging. He even had 8 kills at some point in one of the late games as a solo, and his teammate only had 2 at that point as well. So Trippern, we saw him in the no build tournament, we see him now in the build tournament popping off. My man is playing on a completely different level to what we've seen before, and I think it's definitely shutting down the rumors of people saying that he's getting carried by Thomas HD, because I think my man is a force to be reckoned with, and he plays the exact same way at the FNCS Grand Finals that he's currently playing at this LAN. We might see a Thomas HD Trippern FNCS victory, but who knows? Maybe he's just really good on LAN at this point, and he's dominating the competition that way. In 3rd place, Thomas HD and Tayson. They came in very, very slowly into this tournament, and a lot of people were talking a bunch of smack on Twitter about how they were performing, how good they were currently, and they were calling Tayson a fraud. Tayson's cheating. He came out in the first and second game with both a 27th and a 34th position, but after that it went all the way to the sky. They didn't have a single game that wasn't below top 10 performance. A 4-kill 6th, a 5-kill 3rd, a 3-kill 9th, and then an 8-kill 2nd place. So all of a sudden, those last 4 games, they just sort of turned it on, and that's typical with Tayson. We always see him start off very, very slowly, sort of under the radar, and all of a sudden, they show why he's one of the best in the world. Thomas HD alongside him as well, as always dominant, and they're definitely a massive force to be reckoned with. The question is there aggressiveness? Are those high elimination games going to be enough to catch up with the consistency of Kami and Setty? I don't know, but we shall see because there's another 6 games to go, and I'm very, very excited for it. The rest of the leaderboard fills out as expected with the top EU duos. We have Alex and Scram, Batsap and Mersash, Chapix and Z Andy coming through. Epico and Malibuka, kind of a weaker performance than we expected, but the top 7 so far is still within range to win this tournament. Anyone can still win it in the top 10. And Lucian Steno in 9th place, actually outplacing Hen and Queasy. So Lucian Steno, a team that everyone thought was only really good at no builds, you know, everyone was flaming them on Twitter, now coming out swinging as well in the build tournament, getting 9th place. Very impressive stuff from these guys. You know, they didn't make grand finals this season. I'm not even sure if they made heats, but you know, they're definitely not one of the favorites coming into this tournament. But a top 10 performance for them is definitely strong enough to consider them a serious contender to be at least top 5 this tournament, and definitely proving their names as something different than the truck players that everyone was flaming them for. And in 10th place, Hen and Queasy had a bit of a struggle. We saw Queasy dying a bunch in the mid game to late game. We saw Hen having to clutch up as a solo. I'm not really sure what's happened there. Unfortunately, the production, we missed a lot of the kills in the feed, so we don't really know if it was Queasy's fault or they just got caught unluckily, something like that. Usually, I don't like to blame any teammates, so it doesn't really matter who dies first. In the end, Hen is able to clutch it out. Let's talk about some of the duos that were struggling in this tournament, and namely, the one I want to talk about is Pinq and Anas. They came off of a win in the no-build tournament very, very strongly and came in with a lot of confidence, I want to say, from Sunny Steps, but unfortunately had a bit of a poor performance in day number 1. They started off with a pretty good zone in the first game. Fortunately, weren't able to capitalize on that position, with 17th place with 1 elimination. The next game they got 31st with 1 kill as well, and 18th with 2 kills, and 11th with 3 kills. And this is where it shifted and where they got the majority of the points in game number 5, where they got a 2nd place with 7 kills in total. And game number 6, they died off spawn. Now, you might be asking, died of spawn, aren't they uncontested over at Sunny Steps? No, because in game number 5, we saw them land on Clix and Jukes. Now, prior to this tournament, we saw Pinq giving Clix and Jukes the respect and landing at a different spot, namely because I would assume they're friends and they speak to each other. Pinq was planning to go to NA and play with Clix together as a duo, but landing on him in game number 5 now is a very interesting move, and I don't see it as griefing. And I know a lot of people, and obviously Clix is very popular, a lot of people see this as griefing, but I don't see it as griefing because he's landing at his own draw spot. They were doing super badly from their own draw spot. They tried it out for 4 games, realized, you know what, this isn't for us. We need to go back to the draw spot where we're landing at in the FNCS Grand Finals, and it ended up working out for them with that 2nd place with 7 kills in total. So unfortunately for Clix and Jukes here, they're going to be contested for the rest of the games in the tournament unless they want to move. I don't think that is happening. Obviously, there's a lot of response about it in Clix's stream as he was streaming to 20,000 viewers, but also the response from Clix himself wasn't too happy.
That's so fucking cringe, bro. Like, what? Bro, they just don't give a fuck, bro. So fucking annoying. Like, bro, come on. Like, you literally won yesterday. Like, why the fuck are you just grieving, bro? Like, there's literally 9 more fucking games.
He called it cringe in the situation, which I think is a little bit rough, but obviously in the moment as competitors you're going to be expressing your emotions, so I don't blame him too often there. Clix and Jukes, Pinq and Anas, both of them are landing at the original draw spot where they're going to be landing in FNCS Grand Finals, and even if you're friends, in the end it is a business and you're trying to do as good as you can in these tournaments. So unfortunate stuff, but it makes the storylines going into day number 2 very, very interesting, because that is a top tier spawn fight. 2 of NA's best, 2 of EU's best battling out at Jones's, and so far it is 1-1 against each other. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out and whether or not we see any more developments from that in the future, because maybe Pinq is still moving towards NAEs and playing with Clix in the future. He didn't go because of the visa issues, so maybe this has an effect on it. We shall see. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the dynamic of EU versus NAEs yet again. We talked about it yesterday about the no-build tournament, how legitimately a lot of the players in the top 5 are all European duos, and now this statistic from Pinq basically secures it, talking about EU versus NA East in the duo build tournament. But it's only 6 games, so it doesn't mean too much, but so far 19 out of the 20 players on the leaderboard are European, the only exception being Epic Will together with Malabuka in that position. So NA East isn't really showing up in this tournament, but neither is a bunch of the other regions. The only ones we saw doing really well was King and Sayon. Those guys were dominating. They're just out of the top 10 so far, so definitely impressing me for the Brazilian community. We also saw Lelio and Polga coming through and doing super well overall, but they're just out of that contention to keep up with the top European duos. The statistic here from Pinq Analytics does mention the ratios and what it actually looks like in terms of, is this a legitimate LAN to compare EU versus NA East? So here we go. 37% of the players that are invited in this tournament, so we have 37 individual players if we round up from the 84, are from Europe. And then 95 of those 37% are within the top 10. So that's a very, very impressive statistic for the European boys. If you compare that to the amount of NA players, we have 22 out of the 84 NA players in this tournament, which equals to 26% of the players being from North America in this tournament. Now, the quality of players overall isn't as high. That is the main thing that people are saying in this tournament. But, you know, we also have a bunch of middling European players in this tournament as well doing super well, right? Someone like Lucian Stenner, who are, you know, very, very competent European players, but definitely not at the top. Strand's been struggling recently as well. A bunch of players that we wouldn't consider the top of the top, but they're still showing up and doing super, super well. Obviously, a bunch of the NA players were invited, but they didn't go, so it's not really too much we can compare to it, but it really does show that there is a slight difference there in the EU versus NE's battle. I might be slightly biased, but the statistics do say it, and I'll be interested to see how that develops going to day number 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed already, we upload videos on every single piece of news in Europe and NA East, mainly Europe because that's my region. Make sure you guys give it a like as well and comment, who do you guys think is going to be the winner of this tournament? As always, I'll be viewing part of the tournament every single day at 5 p.m. Amsterdam time all the way to 11 p.m. So if you're interested to see how I react to it, what we're going to be talking about, and the reactions and predictions on who we think is going to be doing the best, then check me out at twitch.tv/CoachBoop. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Because I can't see them. Because I cannot see them. I just can't see them.